Hello, Greg O'Rourke here. Welcome to another Fret Dojo video session. It's great to have all you guys tuning in, and for those of you watching the replay to this, a warm welcome to you as well. I've got a fabulous guest today. He's my long-term collaborator, both on many gigs and performances, as well as a lot of teaching material for Fret Dojo. It's with great pleasure I'm welcoming back to the dojo the fabulous Stuart King. Welcome to the show.
Hey Greg, thanks for having me on again. It's always a pleasure.
What are we talking about anyway today in today's session? We've got a very interesting workshop prepared here.
Yeah, so we're looking at melodic development in this session. And as you're saying, like with some of the other videos I've done, they've been about other topics like, speed and things like that. So it's kind of funny that we're looking at this as well. But I think it's all part of the same thing, really. Everything we play is melodic in some way. So yeah, it's an interesting topic, and what we're just kind of looking at is just how we can kind of improvise in a kind of melodic kind of way. So yeah, we've got some kind of examples here and some little ideas we can work on, and just a little thing that you can practice at home and play around with to help you develop that. It's actually just a kind of fun little activity. So yeah, we'll get stuck into that pretty soon too, I reckon.
Yeah, for sure, man. I think kind of what prompted this is like you've recently come on board as a like a Fret Dojo instructor. So we're starting a new instructor program at Fret Dojo, and Stuart and I were talking about this kind of in preparation to a big coaching program that we're planning to do. But also Stuart is available for one-on-one lessons as well. And so you'll get a bit of a taste in this workshop, what it's like working with Stu. But I thought when we were talking about this topic of melodic development, it's so important. Often it's called motivic development, but I think that we decided to rephrase this to melodic development because the idea of melody is so important and often overlooked as an improviser. So for those of you that want to follow along with some of the exercises Stu's doing, we've actually prepared a PDF that you can get by clicking the link below this video. It's FretDojo.com/PDF. So if you are watching the replay, make sure that you grab that by clicking the link, and you'll get the backing track that Stu's using for this session, as well as all the examples that he's going to go through. Okay, man, let's take it off, eh? Let's take it from the top.
Yeah, sure. So, what we'll talk about is, do you want to just get stuck into the kind of the activity and go through the sheet and stuff? Well, that'd be fun, I reckon.
Oh, for sure, man. Sounds good.
Yeah, sure. Let's talk about. So you're saying melodic or motivic development, and I've got to admit, Greg, one of the reasons why I wanted to change the topic to melodic development was just because I couldn't pronounce motivic. I kept, yeah, it kept getting tongue tied. But no, in all seriousness, melodic sounds better as well. It's kind of, I think sometimes it's a useful way to kind of frame things, the way you think about things. And thinking melodically is useful. And you can think melodically whether you're playing like fast from some of the other stuff we've done, or any style. Whether you're playing jazz or blues or rock or country or whatever. So it's a really interesting thing to talk about. But basically what we're looking at today is just taking a short, simple idea, musical idea, and kind of developing it and exploring different ways to use it on your instrument. And as I was saying, you can do this in any style of music as well. And the good thing about this little game, let's call it a game, that we're going to play, is that it's suitable at any level. So if you're a beginner or just learning to improvise, you can use this as a kind of launching pad to get started. Or if you're an advanced player, it's great to work with and kind of play around with, just to come up with different ideas and things as well. So it's suitable for all levels, and you know it isn't necessarily an approach you might take when improvising, because we don't want to be thinking. When we're improvising, we're in the creative zone,
Mm.
hopefully. But it's a useful concept to work with and to expand your creativity and your ability to create interesting ideas and musical phrases when improvising.
Do you want to just kind of demonstrate some melodic development in action? Like what does that sound like when you're kind of practicing in that way, like taking a short melodic idea and then developing it over a solo.
Yeah, sure. Well, let's what I'll do is why don't we pick one of those? We've got a sheet of just some little ideas that we kind of sketched out before the session. So why don't we pick one of those and just kind of play around with it with the backing track, see what we can come up with.
Sounds good.
Okay, what one looks good? Well, you know what? Let's start with number one. Everyone's going to see number one. So, no,
Numero uno.
yeah, number one.
So if you don't know what we're talking about, it's just the numbers on the PDF that you can get for this lesson. But Stu will play it anyway on the call so you can hear what it sounds like.
Yeah, so I'm just going to move this little idea around. And again, like I was saying before, we're just framing this as a little game. It's a bit of fun. There's no pressure. It's just just a fun thing to do. And we're just going to take that idea. I'm using G minor 7 to C7 as the chord progression that I'm improvising over. Nice and slow, nice and simple. You can do this with more complicated things. You can do it with the standard. You can play fast tempos or different styles. Doesn't matter. But yeah, this is I've keeping it simple for now, just for everyone to enjoy and have a bit of fun with. So I've got idea number one there. Let's check out that one. So that's just okay,
Ooh, tasty.
just a little bluesy kind of idea over that G minor to C7 sound. But let's see what we can do. I'm going to play around with it. Now, you might find that you'll only be able to stick with an idea for so long before your brain goes, okay, come on, let's move on to something else. So, but again, this is just a game. So I'm going to kick off the backing track and kind of see how we go. Here we go. And what I'm really just trying to do is just try and see if I can kind of make different variations on it, play it in different parts of the bar, play it in different areas on the fretboard, start with different starting notes. So, instead of starting on beat 3, start on beat 1. Change the rhythm a bit. And again, I'm already starting to feel I'm a bit kind of like, okay, I've kind of milked that idea for all I can do. So, what I'd probably do then is kind of move on and start exploring some other ideas. But
Sure.
without the backing track there, it's really just an idea of just kind of seeing what you can do. And I like the idea of kind of using short little motifs. 2 notes is fun, 3 notes, 4 notes, 5 notes, little short little phrases and rhythms and things like that. And this is a pretty common thing. Let me just say that I didn't invent this. I've kind of seen Jim Hall demonstrate this in lessons, and I've had other teachers talk about this. But it's really just being able to learn to take an idea and kind of move it around in such a way. And we've got our thinking cap on whilst we're doing this. We're kind of looking at things and seeing how it sounds on the guitar. Seeing what it sounds like if we start to play in a different spot, or if we change the rhythm. And what that does is it just kind of like helps develop your ear and your ability to execute different things on the guitar.
I think what's really great about this approach is taking even in the practice room, if not on stage, is taking a short little idea and then sort of threading it out over a solo. As it gives the audience a sense of something to hang on to. Because that's what ultimately music is about. It's about making a musical statement that makes sense and people can really resonate with. And whereas just if you just have a bunch of disparate ideas, here's one idea, here's another idea, it makes your job more stressful because you've got to kind of think, oh, I've got to keep thinking of all these ideas. And also, it's the audience won't understand it as easily. Because all great melodies, like classical composers, they use this kind of idea of a strong motive through a lot of their compositions. It goes all the way back to Bach and beyond there, that sort of thing. So we're basically just taking that core musical concept, and in this case, kind of applying it to a sort of a jazz blues sort of style. But this can definitely be used in any style, yeah.
Yeah, and that's interesting because you could probably look at someone like Bach and check out some of the fugues where, It's been a long time since I've looked into that sort of thing, but a fugue is one or two ideas, I think, and then he moves it through different keys and does all sorts of things with it. But I think the whole composition's based on that one kind of idea at the beginning, whatever that is. What was that Bach one that something like that? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I know that one.
And then the whole thing just keeps going with that idea and just moving it around and changing it and
Sort of even flipping it upside down or back to front and those kind of things they do, you know.
that's called retrograde, isn't it? Retrograde
I
inverted,
think so, yeah.
retrograde
Yeah.
backwards. I think I can't remember.
But I think, you know, with like motives and ideas, a lot of the like because when I compose, I've been doing a lot of composition as I was talking to you off the call lately, and taking ideas like this. What's good about it when you're creating music is it allows you to focus more on other aspects of the performance because a lot of this kind of jazz instruction is like so the overemphasis is on just like the idea itself rather than the way you play it or the expression or the articulation and all that sort of thing. But if you have something that is very easy for you to hang on to and the audience, it means that you can start to work on those more subtle aspects of your playing. Because, you know, when I was hearing you before, you had a lot of these like really nice little bends and slides and little that sort of tasty vibrato and that kind of speaking the idea. I reckon it's just as important in music as the actual ideas itself.
Yeah, exactly. Like for a simple idea like that, would you could play it so many different ways, and on the guitar's such a fun instrument for that reason because if we look at that, and I mean that isn't necessarily probably the best idea to start a solo with. That to me feels like more of a response. That phrase feels more
Mm.
like a response to something else. But if I take that idea, on the guitar, it's just so interesting because the way I think I played it was very bluesy kind of lick. You kind of expect it to resolve a bit, don't you?
Mm.
You know, to do that kind of Kenny Burrell. But again, I'm still working with that idea in a way. If you think about it, I'm wanting to do something else with it. You know.
Nice.
You know. And that's the thing. Like the guitar's interesting because I can play that idea here, and you can sit down and think of different ways, different fingerings. But what if I did it here? Sounds different. Or what if I, this bluesy note, starting to sound a bit, I'm overusing it a bit. What if I just played it as a change?
Oh, nice.
I've just changed it again, so I reversed it. So that note, the F to the G, I've done it the other way around, G to F. We've got a new idea. We haven't done anything except just changed a few parameters. Or we could even just kind of, change the rhythm a bit. It's almost like two ideas in one there.
Mm.
And then I could move that around. Well,
Oh, lovely. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it doesn't end. You could sit there all day with one idea and find every possible version of that. And if you just kind of move around the different positions on the guitar, what if you played it on one string? Sounds completely different. Or if you use slides and vibrato and pull-offs and hammer-ons.
Nice.
Sounds completely different. Or you could play it real staccato. You just take the first two notes of the idea, reverse it.
That was a really lovely demonstration of how to basically, you just took that very simple first idea that's on that PDF that's for this lesson, and you showed like literally you could sort of spend a couple of hours really with that in terms of the amount of creative potential from that tiny little idea. So very impressive stuff. Do you want to work on another one that's from that PDF just as an example?
Yeah, absolutely. So, what have we got here? Let's have a look at. Let's pick a number at random. So we've kind of used like a short 2/4 note idea. What if we use one of the longer ones? Number 7 looks a bit longer. Actually, no, let's skip number 7 because that's kind of similar. Why don't we go with number 13? That looks good. So that's nice and
Number
simple.
13. What does that one sound like?
Let's have a listen. See if I can remember what it is now. So we've got nice and easy, right? So just minor pentatonic, really. So again, that idea is really simple. We could kind of work that. In fact, let's try that with a backing track. It'll sound a lot more interesting. And I'm just going to try and move it around and just play around with it. So don't, and when you do this, don't expect anything magical to happen. It's a process of exploring and playing around and kind of just letting things flow. So let's see. I'll kick off the backing track again. And I'm just going to play with that idea. I'll try, here's a few techniques I might try. So a couple of good ones, moving the pattern around in different positions or changing the starting and ending notes as we discussed.
Mm-hmm.
Leaving space is another good one. So we might, leave lots of space between the notes. I might cut the idea in half or start in different points of the bar. Displace the rhythm or change the rhythm. So again, like you can come up with so many interesting things. I've said all that. Let's see if I can do it. Anyway, here we go. All right. I'm gonna try and just leave a bit of space now. Again, I could go all day. And to me, let's stop the backing track. To
Man,
me,
that was awesome. Yeah, it's so musical, isn't it? Like this is the sort of music I like to hear. This kind of like obviously you've got chops. You demonstrated that in some of our other videos. Like astounding chops, but you can see how you can make wonderful music without even going there. Like obviously if you wanted to kind of build it a bit, you have the ability to do so. But there's this amazing sense like I could follow your narrative there. And it was just through manipulating that idea, it kind of brings it all together.
yeah, I think so. And I mean, even like playing fast, you can think of anything as an idea. Playing a fast line or pattern's an idea, or playing a certain scale over a certain chord's an idea, or a certain substitute, or anything can make it an idea. It could be, using triads, or it could be using a certain rhythm, But obviously, for this kind of lesson, we've kind of just picked a few musical kind of phrases and limited them to like, four, five, six notes mostly, But anything's an idea. So it could be just using, you could go, I'm going to work on using pentatonics over different chord progressions. So outside of just using, G minor pentatonic over G, what about using A minor pentatonic as well? And you could spend, hours on that. And the more you do that, the more you'll kind of develop the ability to execute these things creatively. And I also think, and like you were saying with composition before as well, I think everything kind of starts with one idea, doesn't it, in a sense?
Mm.
In a way, like, I don't know. I want to learn to play a tune. So you go, okay, what tune should I learn, etc., etc. So that's an idea, and that's kind of the seed. And I think when you're writing music as well, you just need that one strong idea, and that becomes the seed that kind of grows into the tree, kind of thing. To use a kind of metaphor there.
Mm. For
But
sure.
just one strong idea is all you need, and you don't necessarily have to stay with it. I mean, when I'm playing these ideas, I'm getting to a point where other stuff's wanting to come out. Like I'm
Mm,
kind of almost restraining myself, and but I've kind of got this idea as the kind of nucleus that's kind of like I'm rooted in that idea where I keep kind of referring back to it, and it gives me a sense of direction in the solo and what I'm working with. Um,
definitely. Yeah, and definitely makes it more listenable for the audience as well. I really like that idea of a kind of a seed idea. And then kind of the solo kind of grows out of that. That's an amazing kind of metaphor. And yeah, and both with improvise, because improvisation basically is composition. Really, it's kind of like spontaneous, more spontaneous composition, and there's kind of a spectrum, I think, where but all, regardless of whether you're composing or improvising, this kind of same principle applies. So yeah, man, what a wonderful workshop it's been today. I think yeah, it's a simple concept that anyone can do at any stage of their playing, like incorporating this idea of taking a short phrase and developing it melodically. But you know, regardless of where you're at, it's a very powerful technique as well. It can bring a lot of sense to your music making and your improvisation, and it actually makes it easier to improvise as well. So yeah, it's fantastic to have you on the call today, Stu. Yeah, it was great hanging out with you today.
it's always a pleasure. It's always lots of fun.
And just a reminder to everyone here that for those of you that are keen to look at a whole bunch of ideas, I think Stuart made a sample PDF of about 17 or at least ideas on a PDF that you can just take those ones that he's gone through in the lesson, but also a whole bunch of other really tasty kind of jazz blues kind of Kenny Burrell style inspired lines. So make sure you click the link below this lesson to access that PDF. And before we wrap up today, just a reminder that yes, Stuart is a qualified FretDojo approved instructor, and so he will be available to take some one-on-one students on for coaching. We also have a kind of a boot camp style 3-month coaching program coming up with the opportunity to get one-on-one lessons as part of that as well. And Stuart's on board for that as well. So if you are keen on getting lessons with Stuart King in some way, shape, or form, make sure that you contact us at support@FretDojo.com, and we'll be happy to line that up and facilitate that for you. So it's been great having you on the call today, Stu. Thanks very much for coming on, and yeah, hope you can make it again to another live session, man.
Thanks so much for having me, Greg. It's always fantastic, and yeah, I really hope your students and everyone listening got some value out of this today. So, have fun.
Oh, awesome, man. Okay, well, thanks so much, and yeah, thanks for everyone that tuned in, and we're looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Fret Dojo. Bye for now.